Alright, so people, this is the first time I've kind of ever done this, made a kind of separate video for an undercard fight, but I kind of want to talk about Conor Benn versus Regis Prograis, which of course took place as the co-main event to Tyson Fury versus Arslan Mahmoudov. Now, Conor Benn got it done, clearly, he got it, but he did get it done unimpressively, which is saying something, because this was a fight that was set up for Conor Benn to win impressively in devastating fashion. Of course, against Regis Prograis, who was a pretty good champion a few years ago, gave some good fights. Obviously, the fight he's probably most well known for, or his best performance, let's just say, against the highest caliber fighter he fought was Josh Taylor, which was, of course, a losing effort. But a fight he gave Josh Taylor a few issues in. And going into this fight with Conor Benn being the bigger man, getting it at a catch weight, getting the fight on the terms he wanted, 110% right. This fight was set up for Conor Benn to win. Let's go back to Josh Taylor fight Regis Prograis performed very well in his prime. He kind of got out-muscled and outworked on the inside by Josh Taylor. At this point in his career, his reflexes have slowed down. His defense has always been a little bit leaky. Why isn't Conor Benn bullying Regis Prograis? Why isn't he bullying Regis Prograis? I thought there should have been more gears to go through, but I don't think there was. I don't think he's particularly adaptable. We saw early Conor Benn was definitely in control of the fight. Regis looked to be lacking kind of snapping his shots, lacking speed. Conor Benn wasn't landing much to the head, but Regis Prograis wasn't doing much himself. In the mid rounds 4 and 5, we kind of saw Regis get a bit of a foothold in the fight and kind of establish some momentum. Now, Conor Benn did make an adjustment after this, where he started stamping in some really good shots to the body, which Regis Prograis when he gained some momentum definitely did start to kind of, the shots looked a bit snappier, he looked a bit quicker, he looked a bit more alert, and that kind of completely sapped that away from him. Conor Benn won the rest of the fight fairly easily, but it's just the kind of thing where this guy is not a world-class fighter. He is not a world-class fighter. He hasn't proven to be a world-class fighter. He's beaten Chris Algieri, who was past it, and I don't think a particularly good world champion in his prime. Chris Van Heerden, who wasn't a terrible fighter, but is no great shakes, let's be honest. The ghost of Eubank Jr., who was fucking shot to pieces, or at least very, very drained, and now a very shot, undersized Regis Prograis. That's probably his best win, is Regis Prograis, a 2-time WBC super lightweight champion, who Devin Haney was able to hurt on command. And if Devin Haney kind of pressed the issue more, probably could have got Regis Prograis out of there. And Devin Haney isn't a particularly good big puncher. Same thing with Jack Catterall and his fight against Regis Prograis. Both of those guys are non-punchers. They were able to hurt Regis Prograis pretty much whenever they really, really force the issue. Now, Conor Benn he hurt him at the end of the first round pretty badly. From then, he didn't do much other than buzz Regis Prograis. He couldn't even put him down. What I see with Conor Benn is a very green fighter. Who I think has honestly hit his ceiling now. Why do I say that? It's because pre-Eubank 1, or pre-Eubank 2, we saw Conor Benn, who was very aggressive, come forward, high work rate, throws his punches with real spite. Defense is kind of poor, squares up, lunges in, just everything revolves around the front foot, and had a tendency to kind of go over the front foot and expose himself. At a lower level, that doesn't get you in trouble, although it did get him in trouble. You all know what fights I'm talking about. Fights he was very lucky to win, or fight he's very lucky to win. Kind of now in the post Eubank 1 times, where we've seen him fight Eubank the second time, and now we see a very similar Conor Benn, who has made a few adjustments in the fact that he doesn't lunge in as much and is a little bit more patient. Let's just say that, a little bit more patient. Takes his time. You know, there's a distance in between him and his opponent. He really doesn't work on the inside per se. He kind of crashes in. But yeah, now we're seeing a Conor Benn who is more disciplined and doesn't lunge in, and isn't so focused on just sheer aggression. Will kind of take a few moments to have a few looks and see what he's in there with. And that's why I think we've hit a ceiling with him, because if that's the only improvement, I just think there's more he could work on. I think his punch variety could be better. He's got an alright jab. He's got a decent little club in right hand. His left hook isn't terrible, but other than that, what Conor Benn should be doing is working on coming forward, keeping his head of the centre line, digging down to the body. He did do that in his shot, dig down to the body. Do this in this fight, it was dig down to the body, but his focus should be not on headhunting, because I think he headhunts a little bit too much, and I don't think he's a big puncher at this level. And saying that he's not a big puncher at this level, he didn't really fight at any sort of level here. Regis Prograis isn't a world-class fighter anymore, so it doesn't tell us anything about Conor Benn we didn't already know. He should be focused on moving forward, keeping his head off the centre line, being able to close the distance behind that, digging down to the body to sap the energy of his opponents. He's a young, in-shape guy who has a very high work rate. If he was to make those two adjustments, I think you've got... I'm not sure if you've got a world-class fighter, because I'm not sure he's got the temperament to be a world-class fighter, in all honesty. But I'm not sure if you've got a world-class fighter, you've got a handful of a fighter. I think guys at that level, I think Ryan Garcia would light him up. I think Ryan Garcia is a very underrated kind of catch and shoot counterpuncher, where he'll kind of catch a shot on the guard and instantly reply with a left hook. I think if Conor Benn gets a bit too aggressive and against Ryan Garcia, where maybe he's getting a bit frustrated and reverts back to type and does kind of lunge in, I think Ryan Garcia clips him and wipes him out. I think Rolly Romero would probably beat him. And I don't think Rolly Romero is a great champion. I think Lewis Crocker... I think Lewis Crocker is probably the worst world champion in boxing. Lewis Crocker fucking gives him trouble. What I saw against Lewis Crocker against Paddy Donovan was a patient fighter who kind of times his shots, picks his moments. It to a degree in that fight where he, it took the piss. He was borderline inactive in that fight. But you know what I mean? All it takes is a moment, and yeah... I mean, the other champion is Devin Haney. Devin Haney obviously outboxes Conor Benn. Conor Benn wouldn't be able to get past that jab because there is no head movement moving forward. You do see head movement from Conor Benn, but it's at a stationary... It's when he's stationary at kind of mid to long range. It's not... it doesn't get him anywhere. It just kind of... I've avoided a shot, he's not scored on me. It's not, I've avoided the shot, now I can work. So yeah, I don't think Conor Benn's going very far. I don't think he'll win a world title. I don't think he'll get a world-class win. I think maybe a world-class win is the ceiling for him. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure he gets it. I'm not sure he gets the world title. I think he gets a world-class win at best. I don't think there's a world title in his future. Even a division up. I think Josh Kelly outboxes him. I don't think he could catch Josh Kelly. I don't think he could get to him. So yeah, I can't say I'm sad about it. He's a prick. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on that. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.